Welcome everybody to Nothing But Football. Hope you guys at home are well. The boys are back. It's time for your Friday instalment of Football Chatter. Joining me today, Henry Hill and Ben Bowman. Hennes, how you doing, mate?
Very well. We were just watching Bodo Glimt highlights.
We were.
Oh, mate, that's so
The
good.
boys.
It's the new Stoke away. No one likes a European night in the Arctic Circle at Bodo.
Well, except for Tottenham Hotspur.
You did.
You drew, didn't you?
We beat them last season.
Yeah, they did beat them last
in a
season,
semi-final.
Yeah.
No, do you know why? That was because it was later in the year.
Oh,
It warmed up.
all right.
It warmed up.
We must not forget. It's not been snowing.
Bodo can just stay in, and there's a freak snowstorm in April.
Oh,
Honestly,
yeah, true,
they're on the
yeah.
way to Budapest.
Yeah, they are class.
How are you, Ben?
Oh, mate, I'm brilliant after last night. Full disclosure, Thursday morning, Wednesday night, Arsenal drop points away at Wolves. I've got a real spring in my step this morning. I really have.
I love, Ben, that it's other teams' results that help you throughout this season.
I hate Arsenal as much as I love Spurs.
It's fair enough. That is fair enough.
Right.
I found out that result whilst playing football yesterday, which was good fun, in the wind and rain. But yeah, we're going to be talking about all those things today. I'm not exactly sure what I've titled this one, but we're going to be kind of going through the storylines, I think, of the Premier League at the moment, and talking all about who could possibly end up lifting the big one at the end, who could possibly going down, and European places. Bodo Glimt will be lifting the Champions League.
Not the big one.
So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. We might as well start off with the big conversation. Yes, yesterday, as Ben ruining the movie magic there, we of course filmed this on a Thursday morning. I think most of you have figured that out. We filmed this on a Thursday morning, and Arsenal yesterday drew 2-2 after being 2-0 up away at Wolverhampton Wanderers. The first Wolves goal, by the way. Wow. What a finish. What a finish. I think that's his first goal as well for the club. So it's definitely not too bad. And then, in the 95th minute, I think it was, an own goal from Calafiori, which was quite, again, a funny goal from a Raya misclaim with Gabriel going for the header as well. You guys have seen it, I'm sure. So let's end up talking about it. I'll give you the lay of the land. Arsenal have played 27 games in the Premier League so far. They've got 58 points. Man City, on the other hand, have played 26 games and have 53 points. So currently there is 5 points in it with Man City having a game in hand. Of course, if Man City were to win that, then there is 2 points in it. And City have to play Arsenal at the Etihad as well. So a lot of big ones in there. Let me give you as well the final games for each club, because I think that kind of helps maybe with what we want to talk about. The next one, the big one, the North London derby at Spurs, Tottenham versus Arsenal. Arsenal versus Chelsea in the Premier League. Brighton versus Arsenal. But Brighton have been a bit of a bogey side for Arsenal over the years, so not most recently. Arsenal versus Everton. There is then the Carabao Cup final against City.
Huge.
I mean, imagine if City go and win that as well. Then we see Arsenal play Bournemouth. City versus Arsenal on the 18th of April. Arsenal versus Fulham. Sorry, Arsenal versus Newcastle. Then Arsenal versus Fulham.
What have you got for me?
West Ham, Arsenal, Arsenal, Burnley, Crystal Palace, Arsenal. Those last three games for Arsenal in particular may be a little bit easier, but we'll see. A couple of those teams could end up be fighting for a place in the Premier League. As for Manchester City, I know I'm rambling on a little bit here, but I might as well give those games out as well before we start the conversation. City play Newcastle this weekend. Leeds versus City the weekend after. City versus Forest. Then there is an FA Cup tie against Newcastle. West Ham versus City. Palace versus City, though that game's being postponed, so it might end up going at a different place. The Carabao Cup final. Chelsea versus City. City versus Arsenal. Burnley versus City. Everton versus City. City Brentford. Bournemouth City. And on the last day, not an easy game to be fair, City Villa.
Repeat of 2022, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'd say it's fairly equal between the two.
Yeah.
I mean, when you were reading out the Arsenal fixtures, I thought, oh no, that's not good until the end. But
Yeah, the last three for Arsenal are nice.
at the end of the day, City've still got some. Every fixture is a tough fixture in the Premier League, really.
No easy games.
And this isn't the City of old, is it? Let's be honest here. They're not blowing teams away in these games.
I know, but I
never
also sense that if this City side realise that
There's something there.
There's something there.
Yeah.
Because whenever they draw or lose, it's not because it feels like they flopped or anything. It just feels like they've just had a slightly. Do you know what I mean? It's last
They've
night you
not
look at
taken
Arsenal.
their chances and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. Arsenal last night, you're looking at just a tepid side that was too scared to capitalise. And we've seen that before. Like Declan Rice, when he was walking off the pitch, going, "Oh, it's always the same. It's always the same." Like they clearly do seem to show signs of a mental block when it comes to fulfilling potential, certainly against lesser teams. These must-win games, really, because that is a cataclysmic defeat. And it's the media, it's the pile-on, it's the fan pressure. It's a draw, but it's a
very
defeat.
negative result.
Yeah, it is. It's a loss. Like they've drawn to what could go down as the worst Premier League team in history.
Yeah, very true.
And two blokes called Bueno scored against them, isn't it? I mean, like, good. It's a wonderful story, really. So that's a completely irrelevant point. But the point is, this is Arsenal do look like a team that get the jitters, and with that weight of expectation on them, knowing how long it's been since they won a Premier League trophy, City, they will be laughing if they know they can win the league in a year like that. It's always that classic saying, you won the league with a few horse race or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
It's always like if you can win the league in a year when you weren't really meant to, you can steal it at the death.
Yeah.
You're laughing to the bank, really. So.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a very interesting perspective. I mean, this is, again, a situation where in the last few games for Arsenal, there have been not maybe warning signs, but I think especially in the Wolves game yesterday, you mentioned it, Ben, earlier before we started shooting, that they looked a little bit tired.
Yeah.
The side is, they've not had... I personally think their big signing striker hasn't necessarily helped them loads this season. I think he's had a nice little purple patch, if you can call it that, for maybe a couple of weeks at the start of the year. They have obviously missed out. Like, I didn't actually mind. I've quite liked this new Saka in the 10 as well. I've quite enjoyed that. I think he's looked quite good there. Nice goal as well for him in this game. But they haven't necessarily had loads of people being able to bail them out. In Declan Rice has been the big guy. I think he stepped up in a lot of moments. Saka this season, I don't think has been at the races, and also there's been an injury there that he's had to deal with. Madueke, I think, has come in and been adequate cover, but not necessarily somebody that's going to be grabbing that title for them. There isn't necessarily loads of players there, I think, that have stepped up in that role of helping them kind of, when they're in these moments, they get that goal, they get that moment. I don't think this happened a lot so far.
But yeah, I think you're right. But also, even if you look at the other end of the pitch, that's where the games have been quite often won and lost for Arsenal. With them being able to see games out and just kind of sitting in that block and heading everything away. Gabriel getting to everything first. David Raya being so comfortable, coming for crosses or making big saves. And last night, again, you look at him probably for maybe both the goals. Maybe the first one's a little bit harsh, but there's been questions, and I think they're maybe a little bit harsh about Raya's height compared to some other goalkeepers. He's an amazing goalkeeper, but that has cost Arsenal a few goals this season. More so, though, the second one, where there's a complete lack of communication between Gabriel and Raya.
Because Raya's claiming actually is one of the best in the league.
Exactly. Gabriel, I'd be interested to know what Arsenal fans think, but Gabriel should leave that because Raya's under no pressure, really.
Yeah, I mean, I've not been able to analyse the mouth moves. I do want, you assume maybe Raya's shouted keepers or whatever. But
that does show you that kind of, there is something in this Arsenal team, a mental fragility and that kind of lack of communication and cohesion that has often been there and helped them get over the line in a lot of games over the past few years under Mikel Arteta, when Gabriel has risen to prominence as kind of the A side of that Arsenal defence, as the leader, and David Raya has come in and obviously looked like one of the best goalkeepers in the league. So there is, they do lack. I mean, who was it that said, was it Jamie Carragher on Monday Night Football said a few months ago, or a month or so ago, that Arsenal really lack a world-class, kind of proper world-class attacker compared to the other teams? That's not necessarily
I would still say that Saka is that guy.
No, but I agree, but obviously he's not been playing at that level recently because of the injuries. And also, they haven't got the same level of quality in attack compared to Man City, Liverpool, even... potentially someone like Aston Villa as well, when you look what Rodgers can do. I know they're out of this conversation now, but look at Man United as well, the quality they've got in their attack, the match winners. I think Saka definitely is that.
Has been the guy who's been the reason at times why they are where they are so far this season. But
you look at it in a few other games. I remember the Sunderland game earlier this season where Sunderland got that last minute equaliser, and again, it's a little bit of a lack of communication between Gabriel and Raya. And I think, look, it is a bit of an anomaly for Arsenal that they kind of chuck games away in this manner, because they've been a team that's been chasing down City or Liverpool for the last few years. They're an excellent side, so it doesn't happen that often, obviously. But like you said, Henry, I think, and I listened to that crowd last night at Molineux, and you listen to it at Brentford as well. Like, there is this thing where every other fan base wants them to bottle it. Like Brentford were giving it beans to them, second again, ole ole. Wolves again last night as well. And I think that must affect the players. It absolutely has to. Like everyone wants them to lose it. They do.
I think you're saying that with a strong...
There is definitely...
I agree. Why is every fan base singing it to them?
I know like City winning the league.
No, of course, but like...
Fan base will sing anything.
But yeah, that's right. But it still does get to players. It has to.
It is objectively healthier, as someone who has no skin in the game, for Arsenal to win the league than City to just win it again.
You're probably right in that.
It would be better for the league to have a fifth winner of the Premier League in the last decade. I think that would be... I think you're right. That's a good thing. I think it is. It's the Arsenal fans more than anything, and Arsenal almost being drunk on this narrative that they don't need a world-class striker. They've got an amazing defence. And like, do you remember that United game where all they could do was get a corner? That was the only... You could just see the Arsenal fans were like, oh, we've got a corner now.
We bundle it over the line, and that's how they level it up.
It was... So I think... It really is worrying for me that they're tinkering with the team as much. Like, obviously, people go, Saka in the middle, that's nice. It's not really his position, as in...
But it's not like Odegaard has been exceptional in the 10. Like, because Odegaard this season is another player, the captain who hasn't stepped up.
Well, he was bad at first, and then he actually went on a very good period, and then it seems to have maybe dropped off
Christmas.
Again.
He was good around Christmas for them.
But the point is, a league-winning side tends to know its position. Like, do you remember United, even like Chelsea in their most formidable eras, you just knew exactly who was lining up every single week. City, peak Pep, you just knew. With Arsenal at the moment, the defence, I know there's been injuries, they chop and change a little bit. Calafiori was on the bench again this weekend, he started on the bench, having been one of the best players, I'd say, for them throughout the season, moving Saka in the middle, Gyökeres, But
I don't think their attack has been that good enough where it's like, okay, it is X, Y, Z, for instance. Like, I don't blame Arteta for kind of thinking, Saka's having a poor year so far. We need to try and find the way to get the best out of it.
I'm not saying it's bad that they're like changing it. I'm just saying it's worrying that a team that is winning the Premier League is kind of still in a nervous phase of trying to figure things out. Like at this point down the track, pretty much what City are going to do now. They've got Semenyo who's cooking. They've got Haaland, and then like interchange a little bit.
Foden, maybe.
But it's almost pretty much set in stone what they're going to be doing down the end of the season. Even like United, it's pretty clear what they're up to at the moment.
They're probably the most obvious team in the league. I don't mean that in a bad sense.
There's a strength,
and we were all screaming it for years.
Yeah. There's a strength to that. There's a strength to just the opposition will be worried. They'll fear it. They'll know the players that are coming will cause problems and stuff like that.
Yeah, I wonder if there's been a big thing about the kind of energy levels and tiredness. This is the thing as well. Arsenal are going far in every competition. They're obviously in the final of the Carabao Cup. They've got Mansfield in the FA Cup.
One of the oldest stadiums in the world.
There you go. But since the turn of the year in 2026, in the Premier League so far, they've drawn more games than they've won. They've drawn 4 games, they've won 2, and they've lost 1 against Manchester United.
Yeah, so they've dropped more points than they've won as well.
Exactly, yeah. So they've dropped a lot more points. Yeah, they've dropped more points than they've won as well. You're right. And I do wonder if that is something that they must be looking at their next game, as we said, Spurs, as obviously it is, of course, a must win. However, even more so than before, this is a Spurs side who are one of the worst we've ever seen in the Premier League era. They've just had a change of manager, bringing in Tudor, which is great as well for the video last week, where we spent the whole hour chatting about people, and then when the video goes up, Tudor's already done.
It literally wasn't even in the running.
It is slightly bizarre because they've gone away to Leeds at Ellen Road and battered them 4-0. They've beaten Sunderland at home. I know Sunderland on a bit of a slide, but beaten them 3-0. Go away to Inter, beat them 3-1. But then Forest, Brentford doing well. There's no consistency to Arsenal whatsoever, which goes back to what I'm saying. Like it is,
but they're tough fixtures. Like we've just said about how, like, you mentioned Inter Milan there. Inter Milan just lost to Bodo Glimt. And look,
but Inter Milan are 13 unbeaten in Serie A right now.
Absolutely, and that is fantastic. And they're doing like, but the Serie A is in a very different state, I think, to what traditionally it is normally.
I disagree with you. It's probably the most competitive top league in Europe.
It's entertaining,
in between themselves,
yes. Quality.
But they are going away and having very tough results at the moment.
Like any of the top 5 could probably win it.
But you said Arsenal went there,
very lucky at the weekend,
and got a 3-1 victory. I mean,
got to the Champions League final last year. They're not a dumb team.
No, of course not.
Should they got to the final really? Like,
I mean, there's
should have been Barcelona.
They beat this world best Barcelona bullshit side.
If you want to win the Premier League title, Brentford and Wolves, there are no excuses there. Brentford are a really good team who've been brilliant under Keith Andrews this season, especially at home. There are absolutely no excuses for what happened last night for Arsenal. Yes, it's a tough league. Every game's difficult.
You're right.
But
They
you're
have to beat
2-0 up.
Wolves.
You're 2-0 up away from home, and I think
this is a Wolves side as well. Remember where people were like saying, Cole Palmer got a hat trick. Chelsea won 3-1, 3-1, whatever it was. And people were saying like, oh, this side are ready to get relegated. They're done. They're all done here.
But it's so dangerous when you think like that against a team like Wolves because in reality they're playing with absolutely no pressure.
Yeah,
and the
100%.
thing is with Arsenal is they went 1-0 up very early. Saka makes a nice little kind of ghost run into the box, although Mane switches off tying his bloody shoelaces or whatever, and he scores. And then you're watching that game for half an hour thinking, they've not done anything else, Arsenal.
Yeah.
They've not done anything else. Like you said, I know
It's not like it's
Chelsea got
chance after chance.
No, I know Chelsea.
Chance.
Wolves kind of gifted you 2 penalties in that game, really, didn't they?
Yeah,
But like
stupid,
Chelsea put the game out of sight at half time. Arsenal, I think they had one chance. I think it was Martinelli where there was a ball across the face of the goal.
Yeah.
That was kind of it. And then you're thinking, well, all right, well, Wolves are still, it's a big uphill battle even to turn it around from 1-0. But the longer this goes on against a team that are playing with no pressure, Wolves are going to go for it. Wolves aren't just going to sit in. They've got nothing to lose. And then obviously Arsenal get the second. Wolves respond straight away. The first half was the opportunity to go and kill the game off, go 3-0 up at half time and just take players off, rest them, bring Saka off so he doesn't get injured like he did in the end. We don't know if it's actually anything or not. And then even after Wolves got that goal, they didn't really do anywhere near enough to wrestle the momentum and back of the game to then go and kill it off again. Like Eze coming off the bench did nothing. It's all right doing it against Wigan when you're sitting in a deep line playmaker position with loads of space threading balls through. Against you can't even against Wolves, like go and have a shot or something from outside the box. Go and kill that game off. Arsenal got more than enough quality to hurt Wolves to make it 3-1, 4-1. You get home happy. You've got a North London derby on Sunday, which now is actually, let's face it,
their next 2 games, to be honest, like North London derby, huge, absolutely huge, and Spurs are kind of in a position where
it's like it's not a free hit, obviously, but like
the expectation is you'll lose it.
You didn't exactly, and Tottenham didn't need any extra impetus going into this game. That's the thing. It's like we've had obviously a week or so off now. We haven't played, obviously, because there was no FA Cup for us. We haven't played since the Newcastle game. The players were given 5 days off after Frank got sacked. Igor Tudor has obviously been in the job since Monday, training with the team. I think he's a strong character that will help inspire the players. The players will be looking at that, knowing that the fans will be absolutely bang up for it. Like I can't wait for Sunday. Like I don't think we'll win, obviously, and I think the most important thing for me, and we'll talk about it more with the relegation battle, is that I want to see a performance that can give us hope going into more winnable games. Obviously, results are the most important thing, but Arsenal didn't need that. They didn't need to give Tottenham any extra incentive to do something on Sunday, and they've just given that to us, really, and we'll see what happens. But for me, it comes back to this thing with Arteta and the safety and the handbrake. It's like maybe that's been a lazy narrative that's kind of been written at times around him, and they've obviously been able to get over the line in a lot of games without really kind of going for the kill. But why on earth are they not putting their foot on the throat of a team that are bottom of the league, potentially the worst Premier League team?
I genuinely don't think it's that they're not trying to. I think it's that they are. They don't have the like. This is what we got to remember now. Like teams aren't. It's not like they're playing the Derby side of years ago.
No, of course not. The floor of the Premier League is that Wolves are a lot better team than Derby. The floor of the Premier League is a lot higher. But you've got players like Eze, you've got players like Saka, Madueke, Jesus, Trossard. All of these options. You should be killing that game off. There are absolutely no excuses to just let that game drift in the way that it did. There's no excuses at all for Arsenal. And they've just played into the narrative of what everyone else has tried to kind of, or the tag that everyone has tried to portray them as, rightly so, as bottlers that can't get over the line. And they're not doing anything to shake that tag, really. And last night is further proof.
Their next 2 games is where they can really make a statement if they want. Obviously, playing Spurs away and then also got Chelsea at home the following weekend.
Even the news about Havertz getting injured again just seems to cause real jitters in the fan base. Just like, oh no.
Because it's like, wait till he gets back.
Yeah. It's always wait till Havertz gets back.
Any final thoughts, Henry, in terms of Man City and how they are at the moment? Obviously, they've come...
Again, City are also dropping points in moments that they are not as good as they once were. But I mean, Gehi's obviously been a unbelievable signing.
Yeah.
Semenyo has basically just carried on his form from Bournemouth there. more or less, and Shirky's only getting better. So this is the problem. Like, if for me, they're a team that are constantly improving.
Yeah.
Whereas Arsenal are a team desperate to hold on to a level that they exhibited certainly in the first half of the season. City are potentially only rising at the right time. That's why I think
City have only won one more game than Arsenal since the turn of the year. They've had some big losses as well.
They've also had some big wins. Like that Liverpool game, I think they haven't lost since that point. I think that was a very big one for them to sort of
They handled Fulham, I think, quite well as well.
Yeah, again, second half, they sort of just almost put the PlayStation controller down and were a little bit too passive, but they were brilliant in that first half. They pulled, and Fulham could have had a goal, maybe. They had a couple of chances on the break, but City will be vulnerable. They always leave opportunities because of the way that they play, but up the top end of the pitch, they have just got far superior quality to what Arsenal have got. And what you were saying about Arteta kind of tinkering with his team and still not finding the right kind of solutions. Look, to go back to that for a sec, I think you can't discredit him too much for trying to find something different. I think the Saka and the 10 thing, Madueke on the right, those two kind of interchanging and overlapping and going into each other's pockets, I think that is something that could work, to be fair, and they've had issues in the 10, but like you kind of alluded to, Semenyo's come in, and yes, he's just kind of taken his form from Bournemouth into Man City, but also Pepper's platformed him in a way to be able to do that. He's kind of used him almost a bit as a second striker, playing just off Haaland.
Yeah, that was something I did. I think I might have mentioned. I don't know if I mentioned it on this podcast or another podcast about it at the end of the season. Sorry, at the end of the season, will Arsenal be able to look back at the January transfer window, not necessarily the summer window, but the January transfer window, sorry, and say we did everything in our ability to get that title.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they'll look back and think, maybe we should have got Semenyo, or maybe we should have gone for another striker. And obviously they've spent a lot of money. They have spent a lot of money.
I'm not trying to be biased here, and I'm not trying to be funny about the Eze thing, but I feel like for ages, what they were crying out for in that attack was an X-factor proper winger.
But there aren't loads out there. Like, this is the thing. I think,
but look,
Rafa Leao was that, but even Semenyo,
I think I had doubts about whether Semenyo was going to be that level as a needle kind of mover. And to be honest, at City, he doesn't have to be as much of a needle mover.
And also, let's remember the wages that City are paying, I don't think Arsenal would have paid.
Mate, Arsenal pay some of the biggest wages in the league.
But not to Semenyo. I don't think they would have paid that to Semenyo.
They've given Eze like 250 grand a week.
But that's already done. That's not my point.
No, but
and Eze's a person in that position. And no one was going after Semenyo in the summer.
No, that's true. He signed the new contract. Yeah, that's. But there are other players maybe out there. I don't know. Maybe you're right. But
when we were looking back at that left wing position, I think we were all saying like it's definitely something they should look at. They should look to do. And obviously they went and got Madueke, and we were saying, and it's one of the things that it was one of the reasons I criticised the Madueke move, because it was, well, if you're getting him, is that mean that you're not? Is that not not allowing you to get the left winger? And look, there are arguments that Eze would be able to do that, and I've seen actually, I know Arsenal fans that have said they kind of wish that Arteta maybe tries Eze on the left a little bit more than he has done.
Yeah.
But they're at a crucial point. We've mentioned this for a time. They're at a crucial point now where it is tough to maybe do that, and he's already now trying Saka in the 10.
Yeah, it's kind of shit or bust now, isn't it? You've got to find something.
But there aren't loads of left wingers out there that I think that come in and are like unbelievable. I think Rafa Leao was the one where I was like, that is a test. That is a really interesting signing.
Yeah, maybe you're
Williams,
right,
who might actually end up moving in this summer.
Yeah, signing a new contract.
But what other left winger really? What other left winger in the summer was there where it was like, get him, and you're guaranteed.
Yeah, maybe. I think it's the idea of it, isn't it?
Again, for hindsight is
2020. Yeah, of course. I don't know.
If they win the league, do you see Piers Morgan coming out and saying it's like the best squad ever assembled in the? It's like, well, it's not.
Man City 18-19 was the best squad we've ever seen.
Just look at the way you play. Look at the goals. I mean, yeah, they've got a number of players on 4 goals or more, but they're a team top of the league, and they haven't even got a striker in double digits. I think like that's almost.
Who's the highest goal scorer in the league?
Gyökeres on 8 goals. Gyökeres on 8 goals, and I don't. Some of them. That's not a prolific return. Let's be honest.
No.
So
and the eye test proves that as well. He's not been good. Like even last night, like come on, it's Wolves away for Christ's sake. Like, they've got to give him something. Like
Trossard leads their goal involvements this season, and like. Trossard is a great
squad
option to have. He shouldn't be your main source of goals and assists in a team that and I don't mean that any disrespect to Trossard. I actually think
he's been really good this season.
What he's done
says more about Arsenal than it does about him.
Yeah, like he's been an unbelievable signing in a way that I don't think anyone really expected. But it's just like, then you've got Zubimendi, Rice. Rice is the second biggest goal involvement. So with Saka, there's not enough potency in that attack. And it's all well and good, like moving Madueke onto the right, but 2 goals, 1 assist. This is what I mean. Like, Semenyo comes in, he's getting goals and assists. They just need some more raw numbers from these players. I know it sounds really simple and boring, but it's the truth.
Also,
like,
City have got
4 assists, 1 goal.
Yeah. Also, City have got Marmoush back now as well. Obviously, had injuries at the start of the season. Obviously, went away to AFCON. Now he's back. He's scored a few goals since he's been back as well. And he's someone that you can rely on to put the ball in the back of the net. Like, give him a sniff and he'll probably take it. City have got those kind of guys. And again, you said about Madueke, and I think Madueke is a decent player. And I was probably more in favour of the signing, but I was a bit like you. Let's see how it ages with what other business they do. But it's credit to Pep as well, with, like I said earlier, with Semenyo, in the sense that I don't think it was necessarily Semenyo is a very good player, but I don't think it was necessarily a guarantee that Semenyo was going to come in and hit the ground running in the way that he did at City. It's always still a massive step up, a huge step up in pressure. I wasn't as worried about Mark Gahey, because I think Gahey has done it for England and all those kind of things as well in big pressure moments, our best player at the Euros. But it's credit to Pep to be able to platform Semenyo in such a way that it gets the best out of him straight away. And Arteta's not really been able to do that with many attackers. Like, the last one I can kind of think of that they bought where it worked straight away was Jesus. And then obviously Jesus got the injuries and there's kind of been a bit of a snowball from there.
I think he's changed the style of football as well since then.
That was when Arsenal played their best football.
I think Arteta learned as well that, he could have this Arsenal team playing really nice football, but it won't win them the league.
But now they're playing shit football and they're still...
But they're closer arguably than they have been before. I mean, my final comment around City would be that I still need to see the game where I go, okay, they're in this.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen...
Is that not Liverpool? Is that not the Liverpool?
Well, I don't think they were...
I think there was an element of it at Liverpool, yeah, because regardless of how, underwhelming, relatively speaking, Liverpool have been this season, to do that at Anfield is still a very, very impressive thing. But I think the Carabao Cup game will be that game. I think if City go there and beat Arsenal and put a statement down, not batter them, because they're not going to do that. They're not going to humiliate Arsenal in a final. But if they win that game, then I think people will just go and they keep it. Say it stays, because City won't have played their game in hand after that point, will they? So say if it stays with the same sort of gap, Arsenal don't maybe drop any more points, City don't maybe drop any more points, and we get to that point where it's still in City's hands, then they go and beat them in the Carabao Cup final. I think maybe that's when people will go, I think people feel it already now because they have their own perceptions about Arsenal. I don't think this City team are capable of maybe winning 12 in a row. I think there'll be a banana skin somewhere in there, but I still think they're good enough to chase this down, definitely.
That Carabao Cup game, I can just see, you say they're not going to embarrass them. I reckon tactically they could. I reckon they could honestly just say, go on then, Arsenal.
I don't know. Arsenal recently have actually kind of matched City quite well in these games.
Arsenal haven't been in a final for a long time either, have they?
No,
you're right. I can see
City
just saying to Arsenal, go on, break us down. Go on, you have the ball and try and...
Second half
it'd be
interesting,
interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah, try and score against us. I bet, because that's where...
Gahey, Kusanov, they're warriors.
And the ball just sits in the middle. No one touches it.
Yeah, I can't see it being a classic.
Okay, then. Let's move off of the top race. I think Arsenal fans probably had enough battering for one day. And let's chat a little bit about Europe. Because it's interesting kind of all over the table, from Champions League to Conference League. Brentford currently are 4 points off of a Champions League place. Let's quickly go through it, because obviously it looks like, again, this year, depending on, of course, the FA Cup winners as well. But it looks like we're going to see 5th place being a Champions League spot for the Premier League, which would mean that 6th place would be a Europa League spot, 7th place would be a Europa League spot, and 8th place would be a Conference League spot. Again, it depends what happens in the FA Cup. Is the Carabao Conference League?
Well, I mean, will that mean that we get an extra spot because it's Arsenal and City in the final, and obviously it can't go to either of those? I don't know. I actually don't know. Let us know in the comments.
I've just tested my
I think 7th is considered a...
Anyway, I'll check that in a second. But let's chat through the Champions League first. Because there are quite a few teams still in it. Aston Villa on 50 points. 5 points ahead of Man United, who are in 4th on 45. Chelsea in 5th on 44. Liverpool on 42. And then Brentford, the next closest, on 40. One of those boys aren't making it. One of the classic top 6 aren't making it. I think Villa, I think Unai Emery will get them there. They obviously have just come off the back of a loss to Newcastle in the FA Cup after a Bizot incredible red card. Don't
Yeah.
quite know what he was
seen.
doing. And the tackle was so bad, and he acted so nonchalantly. I was like, do you not realise what
never touched him.
what you're doing there? You've absolutely wiped out. But Villa still kind of doing decently well in the Premier League, to be honest. Again, since the turn of the year, they've beaten Nottingham Forest. I don't know if they've actually lost a game. Oh, they lost to Everton in January. I think that's the only loss
home, wasn't
they've had in the league so far in 2020. Oh, and they lost to Brentford. 1-0. Now, they're not necessarily having high scoring games themselves, but they are... I mean, there's a chance they could end up getting knocked out, but I don't see that quite happening, especially with how, the likes of Chelsea, Liverpool, and, United, but we'll see under Carrick, how up and down they can be. So I feel like Villa are probably going to make it.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think so.
Okay.
Obviously, still a good chance that we get 5 teams in the Champions League anyway this year, right?
Oh no, we're going to have 5 teams in the Champions League. I think
Definitely.
but it's not guaranteed yet, but it's basically not far away.
Yeah, I think they'll. I can't see Villa fall. What's the gap between them and 5th? Sorry,
5 points.
I don't see them falling any lower than that.
But they do need to still play. They still need to play Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
They still need to play United, and they still need to play
Liverpool. Yeah.
And as I said, Man City are their last game of the season.
Yeah.
So there's enough games in there which are kind of 6-pointers essentially.
Yeah.
Where it could have a massive switch.
They played United twice.
They have no. They've still got to play United. So the next game is Leeds.
If
Wolves.
Villa go into another final game of the season needing a win
after
last year
instead of United, it's City.
disaster.
Oh yeah.
So like there is a way of doing it, and like let's be honest, like they're not like, as I said, they're not scoring loads of goals. And compared to, I think Chelsea and Chelsea United have scored 47 goals this season.
The thing about Villa
Aston
is
Villa have 37.
since they recovered from their slightly slow start to the season, they've never been like bad.
No, they haven't.
They've just
You're right,
just
you're
been
right.
like winning. They've never dropped below like a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
And that seems that's pretty Unai Emery built in.
Yeah,
isn't
there's
it?
been some performances probably where they've maybe got away with it, like so to speak, but they've been relatively convincing throughout that kind of time. There's been obviously a lot of the conversation around scoring goals from outside the box, how sustainable is that kind of thing. I feel like that's probably a little bit redundant now, despite the fact that they aren't scoring loads of goals necessarily. Obviously, they've got big injuries, which could hurt them when they come and play the big sides. They're going to be missing Kamara probably for the rest of the season, right? Yeah. Tielemans is still out. McGinn is out. Anana, I think, is out as well now.
He's just pulled
Who's
up.
even playing in the midfield? Who's lining up?
Is it Bogard and who played?
There's
in the
there's that other youngster they've got, who's pretty good.
I didn't watch the FA Cup game. I watched the second half actually. That's a lie. But I'd imagine Bogard is playing, and then that's the thing that could maybe hurt them a little bit. Douglas Luiz obviously they brought back. I think Anana's available for the weekend. Is it? I forgot they brought back Luiz. Kamara early June. Tielemans out till late March and McGinn not back till mid-April with a knee injury.
So Onana's okay.
So Onana's okay, yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't see Villa necessarily dropping below 5th, but like you said, they've got a lot of games in and around each other.
They've got to play all of the teams, and they've still got to play City. As I said, they've got.
And it's at Old Trafford as well, that United game, isn't it? And United were quite unlucky when they played them actually at Villa Park. I know, that wasn't Fletcher, that was still Amorim, wasn't it? Right at the end of Amorim. And they were quite unlucky. Fernandes went off injured in that game. Yeah, I know.
The Europa League run will be interesting as well.
That's a carrot. Yeah, the Europa League, you're right.
Because that will get quite intense, and it's a pretty open competition. I mean,
that is also another way for them to get into the Champions League, isn't it? Really, like they could drop out of that and win the Europa League.
If they fall to 6th or 7th and they go and win the Europa League, I don't think you'll find any. You'll find any Villa fan complaining with that, because I think getting a trophy would be big for them. They've not done it. They've not won a major trophy in a long time.
Leon Villa final.
That feels good. That feels very career mode.
Vintage.
Europa League final. I like that.
What do we think of Liverpool then?
This is the thing.
Liverpool are currently 8 points off of Villa.
So Liverpool in that FA Cup game against Brighton certainly looked a lot more like themselves. I think they scored, outside of the penalty, I think they scored 2 kind of much more classic Liverpool goals.
So Brighton
are poor. That's what you have. That's the context that you kind of have to take in. And I think they kind of left them the space to be able to do that. But Salah is starting to play a little bit better now. And I think even though that Brighton were poor in that game, I think for him to just be able to gain a little bit more confidence to take it into bigger games, harder games, does mean a lot for them. Szoboszlai has obviously been consistently excellent.
Mate, he's so good.
It's unreal, isn't it?
He is. That free kick the other day, I mean, he scored so many free kicks this year, but that one where he just smacked it in off the post.
Yeah.
Szoboszlai is a Rolls Royce football player.
And the fact that he's been playing out of position for a good chunk of the season at right back as well. He's like a Swiss Army knife, but it's not just, he's not like a jack of all trades, master of none. Like he could easily be elite in the position, whichever position that you want him to play in.
Whatever position he wants, I think he's almost in a position now to go to Arne Slot and say, look, just let me do what I'm good at. Do you know what I mean?
He runs the games for them, especially with the fact that McAllister has dropped off a little bit, who is someone that, dictates the tempo, controls the game. I feel like Liverpool have looked a little bit more like themselves in transition recently as well. Obviously, Slot has kind of moved them to a more possession-based system, but with the players they've got, like look at them in that Newcastle game, the way they ripped them apart on the break at times, and Brighton as well last weekend. In the FA Cup.
So they've got Forest this weekend, which I think is going to be kind of like a bit of a test.
There's a test for them.
And their last 4 games, if I remember correctly, so their last game is Brentford, the one before that is Villa, the one before that is Chelsea, and the one before that is United.
Last 4 games of the season.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ben, that Vitor Pereira is he's a good hire.
I think so.
By Forest. Under the circumstances, Vitor Pereira feels like that could be a nice little match, given that half the reason his Wolves team dropped
like a
off.
1-1 draw there on Sunday.
So yeah, that'd be fascinating. I really do think.
I think, with Liverpool, if they can...
It wouldn't shock me if they made it to the Champions League. Like, they've got a squad good enough to do that. They've got a squad good enough to dominate these games, to be scoring goals of fun, to have a good defensive record as well.
Yeah.
It wouldn't shock me if they made it that way. It's just
Konate's been good again recently since he come back after his...
But we've seen this Liverpool side, like actually since the turn of the year, they've not been terrible. They had the loss to Bournemouth.
Van Dijk they were terrible in that game.
And they had the loss to another team as well.
They lost to City, yeah.
But in the other games, they have been impressive. I think you're right. In the game against Newcastle, they ripped them apart. They got the win against Sunderland as well. And you're right, Henry, earlier, they are tailing off a little bit, Sunderland, but they're still not an easy team.
Well, it's the first loss at home
to go
away.
Season. Exactly.
I think that's the thing. They do look a bit more defensively sound now, Liverpool. I think that game was a bit more proof of it. Obviously, Van Dijk was an own goal that got the winner, but he was involved in that from an attacking point of view. But Konate made a few really big tackles in that game. Konate was excellent in that game against Newcastle as well, as was Van Dijk. And if those two can kind of find their best level of form again, then they've got a very, very good chance. And Wirtz is starting to purr a bit more now. Yes, the output necessarily hasn't. It's getting better, but it hasn't been there in the way that people maybe expect. But he's purring.
I will say a lot of it, I think, depends on Chelsea, because that seems a bit
can
obvious.
move on to them.
Your fixtures. Chelsea's fixtures. So you got Burnley at home this week, which, according to Fantasy Football, is a 1 of the easiest possible game you can play in the league this year. But then you've got Arsenal, Villa, you got Newcastle, Everton away, City at home, United at home, Brighton away, Forest. You got Brighton and Forest. Then you've got
it's the worst.
Then you got Liverpool away, Tottenham at home, and Sunderland away. Like, your running is
every game's a final, mate.
Yeah,
every game's a final for the rest of the season for Chelsea. And I can't call it, to be honest. I think this Chelsea side under Rosenior have shown resilience. I think they've shown the ability to be good going forward. I still think the squad sometimes cries out for making mistakes at the back, and I've mentioned it before. And I said to you in the last podcast, I liked that Rosenior came out after that Leeds game and said to them openly, that cannot happen. A lot of managers do shy away from when players make mistakes at the back, to go and say something very simple as, "Oh yeah, they know that. We'll move on from it. It's fine." He basically said, we will not let that happen again. And it's all good and well saying that, but I've seen this Chelsea side do it probably every other game. Every other game, there's some sort of silly mistake. There's a stupid red card, whatever it may be. And I think it's a tester for this squad. And you know what? I think it's a sign for this squad to showcase who they want to be and who they want to. If they come out of this and they get a Champions League place and they prove that, they go away and they can go and beat, as you said, obviously they got Burnley this weekend, but then go and get a result, whatever it may be, a draw I'd be happy with at the Emirates. Go away to Villa and get 3 points there. If they can go and do that early on, I think that can set a precedent going forward. But again, I've seen too many times this Chelsea side have a good first half and a poor second half, or have a poor first half and come out and they've got to now go from 2-0 down like they were away at Newcastle to then get something from
West Ham at home as well.
Exactly. And so it's about showcasing what this team want to be. And to be honest, for a few of these players, it's about kind of keeping your place. We've already seen numerous reports come out around the defenders at Chelsea, and Chelsea admitted that, unsurprisingly, the likes of Disasi, Badia, I know he's at West Ham, but Badia Shield, these guys are being told they can go. But even Chalobah was in that list.
I saw about that the other day,
Chalobah's at one that they'll be thinking about possibly moving on. And it's about showcasing. Well, okay, I want to be playing at this club. I need to be performing at the top level, and these are games to do that. And as I said, there have been moments in this Chelsea team where guys have stepped up and they looked good, and I think João Pedro is going for a really nice patch at the moment, and it's obviously the leading striker. But you're right, Henry. These games coming up for Chelsea are very, very difficult. They've easily got the hardest run out of all the guys battling for the Champions League places.
I do think you've been playing. I do like what I've seen under Rosenier.
I think Chelsea really are better as well in these games. When Chelsea, personally, and especially this was more so under Maresca, when Chelsea had a big game, almost like the final game, Chelsea personally felt like they stepped up to the plate. It was actually the other games when it was Leeds away and games that Chelsea kind of expected to win.
Smacking at the big games.
Exactly. There is weirdly the percentage of gate smacking increases in these kind of games. But it's a big test, and I think. Interestingly, I was hoping that this year and this season would be a season where Chelsea weren't in this position. I wasn't necessarily expecting us to go for the title, but I was hoping that at this time of the year,
you want top four wrapped up by March.
Exactly. That's what my hope was, and it hasn't come to this just yet.
Yeah.
But again, things can change quite quickly if Chelsea do get results, as I mentioned, against Burnley, against Arsenal, against Villa, and then we're at the middle of March, and suddenly other teams maybe have dropped points. It looks preferable for Chelsea, but I'm based off of previous things at sea, I'm not necessarily 100% confident.
Yeah, like you said, you kind of need someone other than João Pedro to step up. Obviously, Palmer's looked a bit more like himself in recent games, but it's still going to be interesting.
You can see him,
and how you manage that really, because you haven't really, other than Esteval, who could play in the 10. You haven't really got any other players that you really necessarily want to be playing there over Palmer, because
João Pedro can, but you want
him up front, especially with Delap. I know Delap got a hat trick of assists.
Pedro Neto played in the 10, got a hat trick against.
True, it was Hull. I mean, Neto also.
Let's be real.
You need Neto and Garnacho to step up more as well. I don't mind Pedro Neto. I think he's a good player, but I think, and to be fair, I think actually Neto, to his credit, he is one that does step up in the bigger games as well. Actually, Neto. You need more from them too, though, over the course of a season and over the course of this kind of run-in to deliver on a more consistent basis.
I think you're going to get Santos a lot as well. I think
Santos
people
really
noticing
good
as well.
Yeah.
Enzo, I think as well. These are kind of the games that he lives for at times.
Yeah, true.
To be coming forward.
Maybe Chelsea will relish it potentially.
Possibly. The other key thing for Chelsea, having Reece James back. I don't know what there's not really been said about the injury properly and how many games he's supposed to be out for. But we've not seen him back in the side yet, so if he can come back into that run in, I think Chelsea are obviously a much better team with him in it. And then let's talk about a few of the other ones then, because if we're mentioning that at the moment, let's say for now 8th place is the last European place, but there is the opportunity for a 9th place as well, which is mad that 9 places can be in Europe. We've got the likes of Brentford on 40 points, Everton on 37, Bournemouth on 37, Newcastle on 36, Sunderland on 36, Fulham on 34. I mean, we can even go as far, to be honest, as Palace on 32, but it does feel a little bit not quite there.
They've obviously
just
got
2 points behind.
They've obviously got Europe to deal with as well. They're playing tonight,
you're right.
So yeah.
So what do we think of those boys? I feel like Brentford.
Well,
are going to be in Europe in some way, shape, or form.
The flip side of what we were just talking about Chelsea is that Brentford's fixtures are actually very nice.
Yeah.
Brentford have a very tasty run in. They've got obviously a few of the big dogs, but in principle...
But they don't fear them anyway.
It's got to play Brighton, Burnley, Bournemouth, Wolves, Leeds, Everton, Fulham, United, West Ham, Man City, Palace, Liverpool. You're right, Henry. It's not terrible, is it?
They could have it almost wrapped up by that Liverpool game if they can stay consistent, and they've got a goal scoring centre forward, and I think that is just so massive.
Makes a big difference.
It makes
sometimes football's a very simple game.
in a year where the average goals per game is so down and the amount of goals that strikers are scoring is so low, they've got someone who is every week just banging them in, and they've got they've clearly worked out a system to deal with that, to facilitate that. So, I mean, look, in my dreams, Fulham get back into it, but Everton are sort of just slowly...
I can't call Everton.
Neither.
Sometimes they play and they're like, oh, yeah, they've managed to get a great result and they've got 3 points. And then there are other games where you think, oh, they're going to win this.
Yeah.
And they
It's their home form, isn't it? Their home form's been really underwhelming, which, can happen, transition to a new stadium, kind of getting used to it and all those kind of things. But away from home, look, picked up a big win at Fulham a few weeks ago. No Grealish, but I don't think Grealish quite had the impact that I think it was great to see Grealish back in the Premier League playing week in, week out. Yeah. And obviously he was getting assists at the start of the season.
Tyreek George, I thought when he came on most recently looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Really, really good for him.
But I think Grealish's impact was probably a little bit overstated in those early few months. And I think that now they've got Njai back from AFCON, obviously, as well. Keep him fit. Dewsbury Hall's an important player for them. James Garner's been good in the midfield. But I think if Tyreek George... Everton needed to go out and sign someone in January that could just take the weight off of those other attacking shoulders a little bit, because Beto's Beto. There's obviously a lot of pressure on Tieno Barry, who's been streaky. He's getting better. Missed a few chances in, what was their last home game that they just...
They've put in the FA Cup or
Bournemouth? Bournemouth they lost. He missed a couple of chances in that one and they had a red card. And it was like, it's those games where they're really failing to kind of get over the line, and some of those big chances are hurting them, really. So... Yeah, I think Everton will be around me. I don't see Everton finishing 8th. I think Henry's probably right. I think it'll probably be Brentford. I think
they've still got, and you know what, in their running is not easier. They've still got to play. Their next game is United at home. They've also got to play Newcastle, who are in that same kind of bracket. I know Chelsea, Arsenal, Brentford, Liverpool, City, Sunderland, Spurs.
I know I'm a Fulham fan, and it's easy for me to say this, but I do look at Brentford aside, I do look at that group of teams and I think, who plays the best football? Who would I back to go and do something? It is us. It is Fulham. We've got the players. We've got Kevin.
Kevin's really starting
over Newcastle.
Even look, I know they beat Qarabag last night, but it's not a vintage year for Newcastle.
Squad for squad, I'm taking Newcastle.
Yeah, but Newcastle will be in the Champions League. And,
you're not wrong.
I mean, Fulham are still in the FA Cup as well, but I think Newcastle are a really interesting one because their away form has been dreadful. They've now won 3 games on the bounce against a terrible Tottenham team. We were so bad that night. And Aston Villa obviously against 10 men, but they did deserve that. They 100% deserved to win that game. Then last night, to be fair, people have said that Qarabag...
And they were getting shafted, by the way, as well. They should have got a penalty.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It was mental.
And even before that, Digne should have been sent off in the first half anyway, so they could have been down to 9 men. But last night, Qarabag, people say it's not an easy place to go. They made it go and look very easy. I also think with Newcastle, the big thing is there's been a lot of chat in the media around Eddie Howe, people starting to question whether he really is the guy to take Newcastle forward and all those kind of things. And I feel like it's spilled into the fan base a little bit, maybe not as much as people make out. I'm not for a second saying the fan base is divided.
Careful what you wish for.
Or anything like that. I do agree.
Grass is always greener, yeah.
But it feels like that sense of collectiveness and togetherness is actually... goes without saying that's important at any club, but at Newcastle, those fans can really, really be a 12th man, speaking cliches. But I think now they've gone and won 3 games on the bounce. The Eddie Howe noise has been put to bed for a little bit. They've got some home games coming up after this City game away at the weekend, which they never win, to really show that they are moving forward in the right direction. Obviously, Guimaraes is a big loss. They never win without him, which is why it was impressive to get that win at the weekend. And obviously last night as well, he makes such a difference to that team. The thing for Newcastle that I think is interesting to figure out as well, from between now and the end of the season going into the summer, is players like Voldemort. Because did you see those reports the other day? That they might be willing to sell him for the right price.
But he's having to play in midfield. And also, but what is the right price?
I think it's rubbish. I do think it's rubbish, but it's something they need to figure out.
Obviously, the right price for them is 80, 90 million, 100 million for him. Obviously, no one's paying.
Gordon scored 4 goals last night playing up front, but is that going to work in the Premier League? Are they getting the best out of Voldemort anymore? It's going to be, how do they then go and figure that side of their game out?
It's the Joe Linton transition, mate. Bring him in as a striker, ends up as a central midfielder.
7 weeks ago, I agreed to a swap deal of João Pedro and Voltemada on the fancy draft because I was looking at João Pedro hadn't done anything in ages, and I was like, Voltemada is the most handsome boy that's ever lived. He's been an absolute disaster.
I kind of agree. I think those reports are rubbish. I think it would be.
But I think it's still something for them to figure out, though.
Yeah, no, you're right. No, this Newcastle side, for every good form they have, there then becomes one result that knocks them back.
They've never won at the Etihad in the Premier League, so if they go and lose at the weekend, I think that's where Guimaraes is going to be a big loss as well. And if City make that look quite comfortable, which I think they could do, to be honest,
Bruno's probably their most vital player. Really,
he's their best player, hands down.
But also, I think sometimes your most vital player can not be your best player. If that makes sense.
I think he's both.
No, I agree. But I think Gordon hasn't been lights out amazing.
He's been great in the Champions League, but not in the Premier League, has he really?
Wow.
It's a test. It's a huge, huge test. Let's also, I don't think Bournemouth, to be honest, are going to be quite there this season. I think they're having too many draws this year. They're yet to even get double figures in wins.
But they've got
in the
another
Premier
match
League.
winner in that attack now, though. Ryan he's something else.
He is super exciting. Super exciting. But I think Bournemouth had 10 draws in the league this year. They have 9 wins, 7 losses.
I think you're right. They'll finish at 11th.
And I think, exactly. And so it does leave questions around the likes of Fulham and Sunderland.
No, Sunderland are on the slide.
Yeah.
They've done their job, Sunderland.
So-
The fact that they're basically safe by this point is they've job done. And
You play them this weekend. That could be a good game. That could be
It
the
will
tester.
be a good game. And look,
it
they
your
may
place?
beat us knowing the way that we
It's
play.
at Sunderland.
All right. Well, yeah. And look, it's a tricky one to assume we're going to win, but at the same time, like Sunderland, as Ben says, Sunderland have overachieved massively this season. They need a few more wins, I'd say, just to be locked in safe. But
It's the West Ham result most recently. There was one where it was like, oh, okay. You know, they lost to West Ham 3-1, was it?
West Ham playing good football.
Yeah,
And I think that was
no
the one-
Xhaka that day, did they?
Yeah, they
West
didn't.
Sunderland.
They didn't.
And have they had Xhaka since? Is he still out?
He's been, because he didn't play against Arsenal either. He didn't play against Arsenal.
Yeah.
I wonder. And then Fulham. Yeah, Henry, go on. You guys are a bit funny because you're almost the opposite of a lot of these other teams who have drawn a lot of games. You don't draw many games. You either lose them or you win them.
Mate, it's
10
most-
wins, 4 draws, 12 losses.
Do you know why it's so important that we get this right? Is because Marco Silva still hasn't signed a new contract.
Yeah.
Okay. And Marco Silva signing a new deal basically is what everyone else is waiting to find. Players like Harry Wilson. Do you think he's interested in Harry Wilson? Like the biggest club he's linked with is Everton. It's like, well,
Just stay, mate.
yeah. At that point, you sort of think, is that what you want to do? So, anyway, we need to show Marco Silva that like this is a project. So I almost felt as if getting Conference League football this year was the kind of reward and sign to Marco Silva that we are making, that the team is listening, and this is an upward moving club. Even though I do think I'm just very happy that Fulham are where they are at the moment in many ways.
Yeah.
But going out and signing Oscar Bob, spending money on Kevin, these are interesting deals. And we're not.
They're really fun
chump
deals,
change.
man.
It's
They're
not chump
They're
change.
quite un-Fulham, like it feels a little bit.
I don't know. At times Fulham have made, like when Fulham brought in a Wobie, that was interesting. Emil Smith-Rowe was like interesting.
younger, yeah, maybe. But Oscar Bob.
They're doing it more often though now. Like Oscar Bob is an incredible talent. An absolute incredible.
No, that's what I
talent.
mean. When I say Oscar Bob, I don't mean from like a. Oh, that's not great. I mean, from like a that feels like Fulham going to maybe another level. Smith Rowe was, again, one of the most exciting young English talents in the country for a moment, but we always knew that he'd be held back with the injuries. Bob's had injuries himself, but there's no doubt that Bob's ceiling is higher than someone like Smith Rowe. It does feel like that is a signing in a different level to Smith Rowe.
And I do feel like Kevin is starting. I feel like Kevin's starting to find his feet a bit now as well in the league, becoming a bit more comfortable.
None of they all just like will start, play 60 minutes, get subbed off. They all like just take turns. It's just a
rotation.
Chukwueze as well, who's actually been very good
quite
since he
like
came in.
Chukwueze.
So I fear this could be another kind of what if season because again there have been moments where you're in sixth. Twice this season we've been in sixth and we've dropped points against certain teams. But this is what I mean. I still think like when Fulham turn up, they're as good as any of the teams that we've just mentioned.
Yeah, I agree.
I do think we could beat Newcastle at home if we turn up. I think we maybe even have this year. So it's frustrating. I think we'll come in top 10, and we might even get like a record points tally, but it might not be enough.
It's tight there, man. It really is tight. From Brentford on 40 to Fulham in 12th, there is 6 points in it. And again, a lot of these teams still got to play each other.
Yeah.
It's funny because I think we were saying it in the last episode. For a while in the league, obviously it was mad that like you could lose a game and go from like 5th to 14th, and I do think you start to see a bit of a gap for the Champions League ones. But still, in that area, it is tight.
Keith Andrews, Brentford, they play functional football.
Yeah.
They've got a goal scorer, and they don't seem to fear anyone. And I think that is a pretty potent section of qualities which might get them into Europe this year.
Yeah, and he's a very good man manager as well.
Yeah.
The way that he motivates those players.
And opposition manager after he beats them by going into their changing room.
Yeah, he was doing it. He's learned from the best, doesn't he, Pep Guardiola?
Mate, if he came into the City dressing room, I feel like guys,
I just want to say, you guys are all amazing players.
That would be actually amazing.
Yeah, I was texting Dukes about this. When Duke and I did the social media for the Luton Coventry playoff final a few years ago, Keith Andrews was one of the pundits next to Joby McAnuff. And I remember like standing next to him in the tunnel. I remember thinking, wow, you're quite a handsome man. He was well dressed. Great hair as well, fantastic hair. But then to see him now, just like managing.
He those pundits.
He was a good pundit though, to be fair.
I remember meeting.
He was such a boring footballer. I think he played for like West Brom or something like that.
Yeah, he played for West Brom. Yeah, he did play for West Brom.
Wolves, I think it was maybe.
He was sort of like a light Gareth Barry, is how I described him back in the day.
I remember, you know what's funny as well, just mentioned that, I remember meeting Rosinia at Sky. As well, because when he was doing like the debate and all that kind of stuff, I remember meeting him then. I remember meeting him like, he seems like a lovely guy, absolutely lovely guy. And then I remember when he got the job at Hull. Okay, all right, let's move on then to the relegation zone. This is where you get involved, Ben. This is where we talk about the big boys, Spurs. The relegation zone, Wolves in the bottom on 10 points. I think it's done. I think it's, I'm going to hedge my bets. I think it's done.
You're really going out on a win.
Sorry, Wolves fans. Burnley 18 points. Unless there's a miracle, I think that's also done. So it really does mean that last place, 18th. West Ham are currently there on 24 points. Nottingham Forest there on 27. Spurs there on 29. Leeds there on 30. I kind of think really from Leeds onwards it's done. And look, I would also say I think Spurs aren't. However, let's not run before we can walk. But let's go from there.
We thought about Leicester and they just got relegated.
You're right. Brighton as well, 31 points. Palace on 32.
Mate, Brighton are banging this.
Brighton's form is really off a cliff at the moment. They are. I mean, fans want him gone desperately. Fans want Herzler gone desperately.
Can I ask, if they sack Herzler, what do you think the step they take is? Because they don't seem like, obviously they've not been in a relegation battle really. They've been, I think maybe when they first came up
they did, yeah.
They were, but outside of that, they've been very stable, Brighton.
Oh my God, Brighton haven't won a game since November.
Mate, it's bad, really bad. So what do they do if they sack him? They aren't the type of club that you think will go and get Deitch or something.
No,
like
you're
that.
right.
What's the step they make?
Ange Postecoglou. Get him in.
Well, he's back on stick to football.
You're right.
Today, wasn't
He probably is that like
honestly,
manager.
Is Ange going to keep them up?
Yeah, I think Mr. Mate.
I think to a degree. I think to a degree for them, there'll be a team worse than them.
Yeah, I don't think Brighton will go down, but they are very much capable of getting sucked into this.
I mean, I can't believe they've not won a game.
I've said this so many times. Brighton are just a selection of signings. They're just a load of they're just like the scout's dream. If you were playing Football Manager, you think, oh yeah, it's all exciting. They just go and sign all these 30 million, Costas, whatever.
Yeah.
They are just. I don't get any massive fight. That's why they re-signed Pascal Gross, because they were like, we just need someone to come in here and cajole this team, and him and Welbeck. Brighton are just. I think Pat once said it, like, who do you want to be? Do you want to just be a team that gets someone who sells in for a lot of money?
Yeah.
And I think they've got, again, going back to what I was saying, I think they've got drunk on the idea they're just going to sign someone from Mainz or from Olympiacos and he's going to be...
every time.
Yeah, and it hasn't now.
No.
Because you've got weird, competition... A manager, again, it's like, oh yeah, look, don't get me wrong, I like the signing of Herzler, and he actually started off very well. I think he did some good. He has shown some good things, but we are also talking about a guy that came from the Bundesliga Zwei, like the second Bundesliga. And they're just like, don't worry, this guy's shit hot, he's going to do it. So Brighton really are in the midst of an identity crisis because they've been living off a sugar rush.
Yeah. But
a long time now.
You look at that team, right, and there is players that you go like, oh yeah, that team is easily capable of staying up. Like Minter on the left wing. Obviously, you mentioned they got Pascal Gross, who's back in midfield now. Diego Gomez, I think, has looked actually quite interesting for them. Balaba's starting. Hinshelwood, Danny Welbeck up front. I think I said.
I don't get as excited as you are about that.
But there are players there where each of those players I've mentioned, maybe bar Danny Welbeck, is somebody that you look at and they go like, yeah, someone could spend 60 million on them.
Yeah, for sure. It doesn't feel like a team though at the moment.
That's my point.
I think you're right. I saw there was was it the Athletic article or someone wrote an article, I think, the day after they lost to Palace, and it was like describing them as almost the Bermuda Triangle of football. Like they kind of just nothing in this, like in the middle of nowhere that just doesn't really exist. But players just go there.
Now, previously, we've spoken about this Brighton side many a times. It's like, look at how incredible they are as a team. They all work. McAllister and Caicedo were there.
But it's not working this year.
You're right. No, you're right. But I guess, this season especially, it does seem like it's dropped off quite a bit.
But this is the thing. If Spurs are too good to go down with some of the players that we've got, they're very much in the same kind of boat.
Yeah.
And if they don't sack him, then things could spiral quite quickly for them. I think they're away from home this weekend at Brentford, aren't they? Which, when you look at Brentford's home form, it only takes now. I think Spurs are within 2 points of Brighton. And I'm not saying we're going to beat Arsenal, but say if Leeds win this weekend or whoever who's on the same sort of points as us, they then get sucked into 15th, and then before you know it, next week if Spurs do pick up a win. And then they go and lose. Then it's like they're falling further and further down. It could happen quite quickly.
I also have no worry about Leeds.
I just don't know.
Leeds, I think, are safe.
I'm not worried about Leeds.
Oh,
Even like Forest and West Ham, their form is all right. Like West Ham have a bit of bite about them when they're going into these games.
We're the ones in the worst form down there.
So you think West Ham will get out of it? They're currently there at the moment, 24 points. Next above them is Forest on 27.
Yeah, I genuinely think that West Ham could get it together because I think Nuno's just got so much experience in there. I think players like Diouf, since he's come back from the AFCON, has been
quality of crossing.
Has been good. Even like Tassi Castellano, I like him up front. I think he's added a bit of something. So it's that. I think
Somerville as well.
Like they were desperately unlucky to concede against United in that bitter end. Do you know what I mean? When Sesko got
Thank
that
God
goal.
they did. But yeah, that you are right.
It's like I don't look at them compared to teams such as Brighton.
So who's the team that you think is like they're the ones that will drop? Forest, Spurs, Leeds, Brighton. And let's give them so.
Well, I put money on Palace. I actually put money on Palace to go down.
Palace on 32 points.
But that's only 3 above Spurs, isn't it?
I think we need to talk.
I think we need to talk more about West Ham on 24. That is a big gap. That is a big amount of points to make up.
Yeah, that's very true.
From 24 to, as you said, for Palace, 32.
If those two got to play each other. Let's have a look at West Ham's fixtures.
West Ham fixtures, I can go through them right now, actually. They've got Bournemouth this weekend. They then face Liverpool. They've got Fulham after that. I'm not going to mention the FA Cup. City, Villa, Wolves, Palace, Everton, Brentford, Arsenal, Newcastle, Leeds.
That's tough fixtures.
It's not easy fixtures, man. How many of them do they get 3 points from?
But Henry is right. Like ever since they beat us, they have been playing with a real sort of
they got the draw against United,
and confidence. Somerville scored his first Premier League goal of the season that day. I know he scored in the FA Cup the week before, and he's been on a real hot streak since then. When I watch West Ham, they play like a team that are up for the fight. And
since the Spurs result, they've been on a crazy form. They beat Spurs, beat Sunderland, narrowly lost to Chelsea, to be quite honest, after being 2-0 up at half-time, beat Burnley, drew to Wolves. So, like, you're right, they're due to United. I don't know why Wolves was in my head. Due to United. So, you're right, their form, like, going into they could easily get 3 points against Bournemouth.
I think Nuno is the right kind of manager to do this as well. And to be fair, I feel the same about Pereira. I actually think, I'm not saying that Forest will definitely stay up, but I think that when you look at how Pereira was able to galvanise that Wolves team and the fan base last season as well, that sense of kind of togetherness, I'm not saying that going down the pub for a pint with the Forest fans is going to get them out of this mess, but
they've still got Europe though as well.
Yeah, but
that's going to be tough.
Yeah, but Forest's form wasn't even that bad.
Dyche was nominated for January Manager of the Month.
Yeah, they were doing okay. It's just
they should have battered Wolves that
lost
game,
to Leeds.
And that's not on Dyche. Jose Sarr made a couple of amazing saves off the line, and they had like 30 shots. Like that's not on the manager.
Their next few games, Liverpool in the Premier League. Keep in mind,
10th best manager in the league. Is that what we said?
That video was
I did try to. Nottingham Forest, Brighton, City, Fulham, Spurs, Villa, Burnley, Sunderland, Chelsea, Newcastle United.
The thing is that blows this thing really open is the fact that where there are so many teams in it, there's so many of those teams that have still got to play each other.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's between West Ham, Palace and Brighton. Those are the three that I'm not worried. I'm not worried about.
You've had a lot of takes that have aged quite well. So if Palace go, because I think with Palace they're a bit of a car crash at the moment, aren't they?
They've won one game.
They beat Brighton obviously, but the Burnley
and
game,
they've still got Europe themselves. Like
and the Burnley game, I think they were a disgrace. Like I think there was, I think I said it last week with what Ollie was saying after the game. It was like, just get rid of him. Like Glasner, he clearly doesn't want to be here.
Yeah,
let's just get rid of him. It's create this kind of real sour environment around the club. So maybe they do really get sucked in. Who have Palace got this weekend?
Well, I mean, but Palace actually haven't won, apart from the Brighton game most recently.
December, is it?
Yeah, they've not won a game since they beat Fulham at the start of December.
When, by the way, they were fourth.
Yeah,
I think Palace went fourth.
Since then they've
day,
dropped. Since then they hadn't won a game until Brighton most recently on the 8th of February. They've got Wolves this weekend, which could be a big turning point.
At the
managed at Selhurst Park, which could be a big way to get the season turned round if they're able to get 3 points.
But
from
again,
that.
like Wolves, again, they're going to be going there thinking, why not? Like we've got no
Wolves are in better form than them.
Yeah, they actually are. They actually are.
I don't know if I quite say that.
They are. I think they factually are, aren't they?
Maybe on the pitch, slightly.
Rob Edwards, come on.
But Pat, you're right.
Pop at the fans last night after going.
What, Rob Edwards?
It was all got a little bit. It was kind of like we need that support from the start and all this kind of thing. It was like we were dreadful for us.
It is quite funny that Middlesbrough have. I know they lost to Coventry, but it's quite funny that they've been quite good since he left.
Yeah.
One of the issues as well that Palace do have, and it's mad to call it an issue, but they do have to deal with the European side of football. Like they're playing teams that can get results, and they're currently in the Europa Conference League playoff against. Forgive me here. Zrinski?
Where are they?
Zrinski Mostar. Zrinski Mostar.
Thank you. Yeah, they're playing them.
I've been to Mostar. It is
They're
absolutely
playing
gorgeous.
away.
Where is it?
They're playing away today.
Bosnia,
right? Yeah.
Tricky place
Playing
to go.
away today. Playing away today.
Bosnia on Thursday night.
But genuinely, like, say they get past that playoff, right, into the next knockout stage of the Conference League, they've got to deal with that whilst then also still playing the likes of Wolves, United, Spurs, Leeds, City, Newcastle, West Ham. I mean, that game could be quite big.
No,
Palace West Ham is huge.
I went to Palace and did a Vox, and I was asking like, what's one thing you get rid of in football? He went, European evening games on a midweek. He was like, it's ridiculous. I had to drive down here 2 hours on a Thursday night just to watch them go back. I was like, well, all right then. Well, don't get into Europe then.
You know,
don't win the FA.
Yeah, I tell you what you expect. But yeah, it'll be. I think it's really exciting. I think it really is.
Okay, so if you're gonna have to put money on it, who is your?
I have Palace.
Okay. So you'd stick with saying Palace go down, but genuinely now, given all the context and everything.
I put that at a time where I wasn't really looking at Brighton because I do think Brighton are sliding dangerously. But yeah, I'm just going to stick with it. I know that West Ham have got a bigger mountain to climb, but I just think it just takes one win and the other guys to lose, and that gap is suddenly 3 points, and then before you know it, it's all creeps up on you.
So you're saying
worst teams have gone down, like Leicester. I think I'm not worried about Tottenham, but
I know we don't really mention Tottenham here.
How do you feel about Igor Tudor?
You know what? You know, last week when I was looking at those names on the list, and I was reading them out to you, I did think like Igor Tudor, fine. And actually, I used to be a big fan of him back in the day. I think it was maybe Hellas Verona that he was manager at. Is that right?
Yeah, he's managed at Hellas Verona. I think Udinese as well.
Yeah. He did some very exciting things. Marseille was good. I think he basically got emotionally drained by managing Marseille, which makes total sense. So because they're just an absolute car crash. But so. Again, like his Juve side was good for a bit. I don't think going from Juve to Spurs,
Juve aren't.
Juventus are a bigger club than Spurs.
Yeah, they are now. But you want to talk about the history of the Tottenham and all that kind of stuff. They've been crap recently. Juve.
No, I know, but like in club stature.
Did you see Luca's video after the Galatasaray game? He looked like he wanted to cry. It was hilarious.
They're in a free fall. They're
so good.
I think you're right. Like, I didn't know too much about Tudor from a tactical perspective before we were linked with him. On that Friday, the day after we recorded last week, we were in the morning. I remember I was messaging the group chat. It was Terzic and Marco Rosa who we were linked with, and then Tudor kind of came out of nowhere from the Italian journos, and within an hour it was done.
And is it just? It's just 6 months, isn't it?
Just an interim job.
Has there been any reports about like if he does X, Y, or Z, like get some finishing?
Oh well, there's been people having conversations on the debate shows, but nothing concrete. No, he did his first interview the other day. I think he speaks with authority. I think he's quite an imposing figure.
He's almost in ways opposite to Frank.
Oh, he's the total opposite to Frank. He's the total opposite. And I think having the North London derby this weekend is actually a good opportunity for him as the first game. Like, we probably will lose, and results are the most important thing right now. But if Spurs fans see a performance that they can get behind, given the fact as well that we're going to have that extra added kind of impetus based off what happened last night and the fact that we want to do them over and stop them winning the title, like that is big for us on Sunday. And I think if we can get a point or something, it's absolutely huge to kickstart that kind of era. Well, mini era, so to say. We've been for enough eras, you know what I mean? Like, and then a lot of our home games are against teams in and around us. We've got to play Forest at home, Palace at home, Leeds at home as well. And I think obviously those are games that we've struggled in this season.
Yeah.
But hopefully with Tudor coming in, breathing a bit of confidence into the players. Because I think, look, people talk about the too good to go down thing. Tottenham shouldn't be in this position. No team is ever too good to go down, but Tottenham should not be in this position. Yeah. Right.
No,
so, and I think if you can just get a bit, and we've got injuries at the moment, if we can get players back after the next international break, Romero back from his ban, I think we'll probably be okay. And it's going to be very interesting to see how he lines up on Sunday, because traditionally he's played with a 3-4-3.
Yeah, I think what I also find tough to talk about, because I have no idea what he's going to do yet.
Yeah.
I think once we've seen what he's done, and say he does go to a back three or whatever it might be, it's then easier to judge after 2 games.
Yeah, traditionally he's played a 3-4-3 with the kind of centre-backs, almost a bit Sheffield United style, kind of pushing on and overlapping.
I can see Van der Ven doing that.
But obviously
excelling.
The issue at the moment is that Dragusin is our only other fit centre-back.
Oh boy.
Danso's injured, Romero's suspended. Could play right-sided centre-back. Exactly. Palhinha's played right-sided centre-back in a 3 for us.
But is it, for instance, coming over 6 months, is it something where he comes in and does that now? Like, is that the right idea to do that now?
He did sort of say in his interview that he was like, I have to adapt to the situation and what's available. So
but it's possible. Like, you've got, Jed Spence, one of Jed Spence's best moments in his career was playing as a right wing back for Nottingham Forest.
But also Doggy's injured at the moment as well. So Spence we've got Sousa, the young Brazilian kid, but Spence may have to fill in.
Is there an idea you put maybe another? Maybe not.
This is why I think maybe he goes with a 4 at the moment. He did that. He actually did do that at Juve right at the start. He played with a 4, I think, in his first game, and then went to the 3. So we'll see, man. I think you have to take managers' interviews with a pinch of salt and all these kind of things. Yes. But it's all we've heard from him so far. And I thought he spoke with clarity, confidence, authority. And I think clearing the decks, getting rid of all of Frank's staff as well, and letting him bring his guys with him, I think is what we needed, because these players need new voices. Those players have got to look at themselves as well, 100%, but they need new ideas, fresh voices, and hopefully that bit of confidence will be enough to get us out of this. And we win 3 games, we're safe. And if we can beat Palace, beat Leeds and beat Forest, which is not a guarantee with the way that we've been playing, but if we can have enough confidence in the group to do that, then we'll be fine.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why I think a lot of that is reasons why I think Spurs probably won't go down.
Yeah, I don't think we'll finish higher than like 13th if we do. But
I think in terms of the action at the club, like, do not have that mentality of we're too good to go down. Like, let's just
of course. And to be
focus
fair,
on every game.
One last thing I'll say on Tudor is that I think Frank was so blinded by kind of coming out and saying, like, yeah, we're moving in the right direction. The performances are getting better. Not really wanting to acknowledge, acknowledge the situation that we're in. But Tudor's kind of come in and said that, is that, look, this club should not be where we are right now. Kind of, and I think if you don't want to make the players believe they're in a relegation battle, because you don't want them to kind of go into their shell and play. Because Tudor wants to play on the front foot, he wants to be aggressive, wants to press, all those kind of things. You don't want them to retreat into their own box and kind of shrink, which is what we've been doing under Frank. But you also want them to accept the reality of where we are and try and move out of it together. I think he's got the fans on side from early doors. I think, obviously, like I said, with what happened with Arsenal last night as well, the fans didn't need any extra incentive to go and try and win that game. And I think
definitely a way to get the fans on side.
Mate, it's going to be
Arsenal.
It's going to be.
Has there been another manager recently who his first game was the North London derby? Why do I feel like that's happened? Maybe not.
I don't think
Did Ryan Mason take over and something like that?
No, I don't think so.
Maybe I've imagined it. Okay then, Ben, who is your team to go down then, if you've got to make the call now?
Go on.
Brighton.
I really don't know, man.
I think it's one of Forest or West Ham for me.
I agree. But I see Pereira doing okay there, but is it going to be enough? I'm going to say Forest.
I will also...
I don't know.
You said Forest. You know what? Just to make it different, so we've got different throws, I'm going to go West Ham. But I don't know if I fully believe that. It's tight.
I'm the same as you. I think it's... I'd hedge my bets on one of those two, but it could be Spurs. I still think Leeds aren't out of it. They've got at home, there are different beasts on that kind of stuff, but when it comes to the crunch at the end of the season,
we'll watching them play.
I agree. I think they're a really good team that passed the eye test as well. The thing is with them,
West Ham and Nottingham Forest, I actually genuinely at times, like, I don't know where the results come at times.
Yeah.
Leeds get results, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, Leeds at home, Leeds at home, they get results. They're a tough cookie at times. Okay then, well, there we have it. I hope you guys have enjoyed that. I like to think we've covered everybody in a nice amount of detail there. Sorry to was there a club that we just didn't really mention? No, we mentioned mostly everyone. Yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Henry Hill, a lot of people at home want to check you out. Where can they see all of us actually this weekend?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Well, if it gets edited in time, it'll be the Football Joe quiz, I guess. Sorry if I've been distracted. The cricket's on. And I keep
hey, turn on the TV halfway through.
Zimbabwe, come on the boys.
Yes, we'll be doing the Football Joe quiz, nothing but football taking over. Me and Ben putting our knowledge against each other. Let's see. Ben Bowman, for the other people at home want to check you out, you've actually launched something brand new. What can they do?
Yesterday I launched a new general football YouTube channel. I've had my Spurs one for a while, and it's time to do the next best thing and talk about everything else. So it's Ben Bowman Football. I'm about 500 subs already after yesterday, which is amazing. So thanks very much for that. So go and subscribe there, and I'll be very grateful.
Beautiful. Beautiful. It'll be collabed with this channel, so please do go over there, check it out, subscribe to Nothing But Football, and we'll see you guys very, very soon. Bye.